What if the woman being humiliated in front of a silent crowd wasn't just another victim, but the mother of a hero the world never sees? In a quiet diner, an elderly black woman sits with grace, kindness in her eyes, when a racist bully decides to test her dignity. People watch. No one stands. A hand is raised. A slap echoes. The world goes silent. But what this bully doesn't know is that the woman he dared to touch raised a warrior, a man trained to protect, a man taught to never fail, a Navy SEAL who just came home. Morning sunlight usually means warmth, hope, life. But in Ridgeway Crossing, mornings only mean one thing: silence. And silence here doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like fear gently pressing its hand over every mouth, warning people not to speak, not to interfere, not to breathe too loudly. Sunrise Corner Cafe sits at the heart of this quiet town, a place where coffee cups clink, but courage rarely does. Evelyn pushes open the door with gentle hands, the bells above the entrance chiming softly. She's an elderly black woman with silver strands in her hair and dignity in her walk, the kind of soul whose presence feels like kindness walking into a room. She's here for a meeting, something important, something emotional, but no one knows that yet. To them, she's just another customer. Except to one man. Richard sits near the counter, leaning back like he owns the air everyone breathes. He's the kind of bully who doesn't need fists to make people shrink. His presence does that on its own. People laugh louder when he laughs. They go quiet when he frowns. And today, he's already annoyed. It happens so simply, too simply. Evelyn passes by, her coat brushing the edge of his chair. A harmless touch, an accident, something most people would ignore. But Richard had been waiting for a moment to remind everyone who controls this diner. He stands, he sneers, and then, slap. The sound cracks through the diner like a thunderbolt. A shock wave freezes everyone. Spoons stop midair, breaths choke halfway, eyes widen, but bodies stay still. No one steps forward. No one speaks. In that moment, injustice wins. Fear sits comfortably, and Evelyn stands there, hurt, yet unbroken, while the town pretends they didn't see what they all felt. The bell above the diner door rings again. Just a soft chime, barely noticeable. But sometimes the quietest sounds carry the biggest storms behind them. A man steps inside. Not loud, not dramatic, not even trying to be noticed. He carries himself with a stillness most people don't understand. Shoulders square, eyes sharp, every movement precise, controlled, disciplined. His name is Deshawn Moore, a Navy SEAL who has spent years walking into chaos so others could walk out alive. He came home early. He didn't tell anyone. Today was supposed to be a surprise. Today was supposed to be filled with laughter, hugs, maybe even tears of joy. Instead, he walks into a silence that feels wrong. It isn't the normal diner quiet. This one feels heavy, thick, unbreathable. He pauses for half a second, training kicking in. Situational awareness. He scans the room without making it obvious. The tension is everywhere. In the way forks hover frozen above plates, in the way no one will meet his eyes, in the way his heart begins to pound before he even knows why. Then he hears it. The faintest, trembling breath. His mother's breath. His gaze finally locks onto her, and the world narrows. Evelyn stands there too still. There's shock in her eyes, hurt beneath her calm dignity. And then Deshawn sees it. The redness spreading across her cheek, the slight shake in her hand gently touching it, as if trying to hold the pain in place so it doesn't spill into the room. Something inside him stops, and something far more dangerous wakes up. This isn't just some civilian. This isn't just some victim. This is his mother, the woman who prayed for him through every deployment, who stayed awake on stormy nights fearing a knock on the door, who hugged him tighter every time he left, as if memorizing him in case fate didn't give him back. And someone dared touch her. His jaw tightens slowly. His expression doesn't explode with rage, no. That would be easy. That would be obvious. Instead, his face goes calm, deadly calm. The kind of calm that only comes from people who have seen worse than most can imagine and survived. He takes one step forward, then another. With every step, the air in the diner shifts. People don't know why they feel it, but they do. The atmosphere changes. Courage starts to creep back into the room without permission. Richard turns, annoyance already curling on his lips, ready to bark at whoever is approaching. But the words die halfway, because Deshawn is now standing between him and Evelyn. Not aggressively, not violently, just there, like a wall, like a shield, like gravity itself, moved to protect her. For a moment, no one speaks. Deshawn doesn't look away from Richard. His voice, when it finally comes, isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's steady, controlled, each word weighted with meaning. Step away from my mother. Richard scoffs, forcing a laugh, trying to regain control, trying to pretend he isn't suddenly uneasy. Who do you think you are? He sneers. This doesn't concern you. Deshawn's head tilts slightly. There's no shouting, no dramatic speech, just truth. It concerns me, he says quietly, because that woman is the reason I'm alive. He doesn't blink. He doesn't flinch. And for the first time, Richard feels something unfamiliar wrap around his spine. Fear. He tries to laugh it off. She bumped into me. I taught her some respect. The diner stiffens again. People lower their eyes, ashamed of their silence. Deshawn's knuckles tighten, just slightly, then relax. Discipline. Control. Years of training hold him steady. He doesn't move closer, doesn't threaten. He only steps a half-inch more in front of his mother, enough that she is completely shielded by his presence. He doesn't need to look at her to know she's shaking. He feels it. He feels everything. Mom, he says softly, not taking his eyes off Richard. Are you all right? Her voice cracks, not with fear, but with heartbreak and relief all at once. Baby, you're home? The word home breaks something inside the room. People swallow. Someone quietly wipes their eyes. Deshawn finally breathes, but only a little. Yes, ma'am, he replies gently. I'm home. Then his gaze sharpens again, like the click of a weapon being readied. And I'm standing right here. The diner feels different now. The balance has shifted. The bully no longer fills the room. Deshawn does. But not with intimidation. With something stronger. Protective love. Unbreakable presence. Power that doesn't need to roar to be recognized. Richard tries one more time to assert control. Listen, soldier boy. Deshawn interrupts without raising his voice. Navy SEAL, he corrects calmly. The diner reacts. Whispers ripple through the room. Navy SEAL. The words settle like thunder. Suddenly, the slap isn't just a mistake. It isn't just another incident. It is an attack on the mother of a man who has faced death so that others didn't have to. Deshawn's eyes don't soften. If anything, they become colder, not wild with rage, but razor-sharp with purpose. You picked the wrong woman, he says quietly, and the wrong day. Richard tries to laugh again, but this time it doesn't come out right. Confidence leaks from him. His posture isn't as tall. His voice isn't as firm. Because for the first time, he isn't the biggest force in the room. He isn't the loudest power. And he definitely isn't in control. The silent crowd watches, hearts pounding, as something they've never seen happens. Fear starts backing up, and courage finally takes a seat. For a heartbeat, the diner stands inside a frozen moment, silence stretched, so tight it feels like it might snap. Richard stares at Deshawn, lips curled in arrogance, mind still clinging to the delusion that he controls this place, this town, these people. He smirks. He laughs. Because bullies don't understand, they've already lost until the ground disappears beneath them. So what? Richard scoffs, voice dripping with mockery. Navy SEAL, soldier boy, superhero, whatever you want to call yourself. This is Ridgeway Crossing, my town, and your mommy here. He tilts his head with a cruel grin. She forgot her place. The words hang ugly in the air. A couple near the window look away, ashamed. A waitress grips her order pad, so hard it crumples. The owner, stiff behind the counter, swallows hard. People have heard this tone before, that poisonous confidence. And every time they chose silence. Every time, they hoped someone else would do something. But today, that hope has a name. Deshawn Moore. Before the storm, though, comes something Richard never expected. Deshawn turns his back on him. He does the opposite of what rage wants. He doesn't attack. He doesn't shout. He doesn't even look at the man who slapped his mother. He turns to Evelyn, because love comes before anger. His hands, steady and gentle, lift her shoulders. "Mom," he murmurs softly, "look at me." Her chin trembles. She tries to be strong. She always has been. But the pain of humiliation stings deeper than the slap. "I'm okay," she whispers at first, fighting tears. "I'm all right, baby. I'm just shaken." But Deshawn's eyes lower to her cheek, red, swollen, trembling slightly. He breathes in slow, deep, controlled. Discipline holds him together like armor. He swallows. Then he asks the question he needs the truth to answer. "Mom, did he hit you?" The diner goes still. Everyone knows the answer. Everyone saw it. Everyone heard it. Everyone felt that violent crack echo inside their rib cages. But this moment matters. Evelyn closes her eyes. A tear slips free, not because of fear anymore, but because her son is here. Because she isn't alone. Because silence no longer owns this place. "Yes," she whispers, then stronger. "Yes, he hit me." And with that confession, something shifts. The air changes. The invisible chains around the room loosen. People exhale, finally acknowledging the truth they tried not to see. Deshawn's jaw tightens. His eyes slowly lift from his mother and lock onto Richard. Gone is the soft sun. Gone is the quiet restraint. In its place stands the warrior she raised. Richard's smirk falters, because the calm is gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. Controlled fury. Not wild rage. Not reckless anger. A storm with purpose. Deshawn steps forward slowly, each movement deliberate, each breath measured. His training doesn't erupt. It focuses every memory of danger, every battlefield, every moment he swore to protect the innocent. They all arrive with him. "Apologize," Deshawn says. It isn't a suggestion. It isn't loud. It's a command crafted in steel. Richard laughs too quickly, desperate to hide the tremor in his chest. For what? For putting her in her place? Maybe she should learn. He doesn't finish, because in less than the blink of an eye, Deshawn moves. Years of discipline collapse into precise motion. He grabs Richard's wrist mid-gesture, the same wrist that dared strike his mother, and twists it sharply. The bully gasps, shock breaking his arrogance as his body bends against its will. Deshawn's grip isn't brutal, it's surgical, exact, controlled. Richard drops to one knee. The diner gasps. Deshawn leans in, voice low and terrifyingly calm. "Don't you ever touch my mother, or any woman again." Richard struggles, face contorting. "Let go." He swings with his free hand, sloppy, angry, desperate. Wrong move. Deshawn blocks effortlessly. Years of combat training compress into instinct. He shifts his stance, his other hand striking Richard cleanly. Not wild, not brutal, but with terrifying precision. A controlled blow that sends Richard stumbling backward into a table, plates crashing to the floor. For the first time, fear floods Richard's eyes. He scrambles, trying to stand tall again, trying to rebuild his crumbling dominance. "You think you're a hero? You think anyone's going to back you? These people don't care. They never do." And he's right. They didn't. Until now. A voice from the back finally speaks. "We care." Heads turn. It's the owner, voice shaking, heart pounding, finally standing. Then another voice joins. "He hit her. We all saw it." Then another. "That's enough, Richard." Then another. "Not today." Silence finally breaks. And it doesn't belong to fear anymore. Richard spins, chest heaving, suddenly overwhelmed by the reality he can no longer bend. His bluffing confidence evaporates. Without fear on his side, he's just a man, smaller than he ever wanted to admit. Deshawn steps forward again. Richard backs up. Nobody has ever seen him retreat before. "You like power, right?" Deshawn says, voice steady. "You love making people feel small. You love controlling rooms. But let me teach you something." He stops inches from him. Real strength protects. Real power defends. Real men don't raise their hands to women, and cowards don't get to hide behind fear anymore. Richard swallows hard. For the first time, he truly understands. This isn't about muscle. This isn't about intimidation. This is about justice finally standing up. Deshawn grabs him by the collar, not to hurt him, but to stand him upright, to make him face the room he terrorized. "Apologize to my mother," he orders softly. Richard hesitates, pride clawing desperately for control. Then his eyes meet Evelyn's, and pride loses. His voice cracks. "I'm sorry. It isn't enough." Deshawn's grip tightens just enough to remind him sincerity exists. "Mean it." Richard exhales, defeated, humbled, stripped of his fabricated power. "I'm sorry," he says louder. "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have touched you." Evelyn doesn't respond harshly. She doesn't yell. She simply nods because dignity never needed revenge to stand tall. Deshawn releases him. Richard stumbles back, chest heaving, face pale. In the diner, the same diner that once sat silent while fear reigned, now breathes in courage for the first time. The balance of power has shifted. Silence is broken, and the bully who once owned the room finally tastes fear. The room is still trembling with the echo of everything that just happened when another sound begins creeping into the silence, faint at first, then growing louder, closer, undeniable. Sirens. Red and blue lights flicker against the diner windows like approaching judgment. Every time fear once protected Richard, police sirens were his comfort, his safety net. He was the man people whispered about having connections. The one who always walked away untouched. The one rules never seemed to apply to. But today, he isn't smirking. Today, he isn't powerful. Today, there's no shield made of silence to hide behind. His confidence collapses completely. The mighty bully who boasted dominance over Ridgeway Crossing is now just a man standing in the wreckage of his own arrogance. His hands shake. His breathing quickens. Panic pushes through his chest where false pride used to sit. No, wait. Richard stammers, turning desperately toward Deshawn, toward Evelyn, toward anyone who might listen. "We don't need the police. This went too far already. Let's just forget it, okay? Everyone calm down. Nobody needs to make a big deal out of this." The room doesn't bend for him anymore. No one looks away. No one lowers their head. No one rescues him. Because once fear breaks, it never comes back the same. Deshawn stands steady. Not gloating, not cruel. Just firm, anchored by control and purpose. Evelyn rests behind him, still shaken, but no longer alone. The diners who once sat frozen now sit upright, witnessing the unraveling of a man who built his throne out of intimidation. "Please," Richard whispers now, voice crumbling. "I didn't mean she bumped me. It was an accident. It got out of hand. I was frustrated. That's all. Just please." The sirens stop. Then comes the unmistakable click of car doors opening. Boots step on a pavement. Authority walks closer. Reality tightens. The diner door swings open. 2 officers enter. Officer Daniels, seasoned and steady, and Officer Hale, younger but alert, both instantly sensing the charged air. They pause just long enough to read the room. The broken plates, the trembling faces, the heavy silence waiting for truth to be spoken. "All right," Officer Daniels says calmly, scanning everyone. "Who called this in?" The owner steps forward, hand steady, voice clearer than it has ever been when dealing with Richard. "I did," he says firmly. We had an assault. On a customer." Richard snaps toward him, betrayal flashing across his eyes. "You," he hisses. "Really? After everything I've done for this place?" The owner doesn't flinch. "Not anymore. You've done nothing but terrorize this place," he replies, voice unwavering. "Today it ends." Officer Hale's eyes shift to Evelyn. Her cheek is still red. Her hand still hovers near it unconsciously. The emotion in her eyes is real. Daniel softens as he approaches. "Ma'am," he says gently, "did someone strike you?" Before, she might have hesitated. Before, silence might have won again. Not today. She takes a breath. "Yes." Evelyn answers with dignity and steadiness. "He did. That man. He hit me." Daniels nods slowly, jaw tightening. He turns to the room. "Anyone witness this?" This is the moment that used to die in Ridgeway Crossing. This is where eyes always dropped. Courage dissolved, and truth suffocated. But something is different now. A woman near the front lifts her hand. I saw it. He hit her. Hard. Then a man stands. I saw it too. She barely brushed his chair. He snapped. He slapped her. The waitress comes forward, voice trembling but brave. I was closest. He didn't just hit her. He meant to humiliate her. We all know that. More voices rise. He's done this before. He always got away with it. Not this time. Officer Hale nods, absorbing every word, documenting calm professionalism layered with quiet anger at what he's hearing. Richard laughs, desperate, hollow, cracking at the edges. Oh sure, now everyone's brave. Now everyone wants to play hero. This is ridiculous. You're all exaggerating. You've always hated me. This is a setup. But Officer Daniels isn't guessing. He gestures to the corner of the diner. Cameras? He asks the owner. The bully's world freezes. The owner nods. Everything. Audio and video. Richard goes pale. Because power fears only one thing. Truth that cannot be twisted. Within minutes, Hale reviews clips on the monitor behind the counter. There is no debate. No blurred edges. No confusion. The slap plays back clearly. The force, the intent, the cruelty. The audio carries the venom of Richard's voice. The image captures the shock on Evelyn's face, the silence swallowing the room. The moment fear controlled everyone, and then the moment fear finally lost. Daniels turns slowly. The decision is made. Richard knows it. Panic rips through him. Hey, come on. Daniels. Buddy, you know me. We've known each other for years. Let's talk. I didn't mean it like that. She's fine, look at her. She's not even bleeding. That sentence, she's not even bleeding, lands heavier than the slap. Evelyn's strength straightens. Deshawn's eyes harden. The diner watches. Officer Daniel steps forward, not as his acquaintance, not as someone from town, but as the law. Richard Hayes, he says firmly, you are under arrest for assault. The air shifts again, but this time it isn't fear. It's relief. Real, weightlifting relief. Richard backs up, shaking his head wildly. No, you don't need to do this. We can handle this privately. It's a misunderstanding. Hale is already guiding his wrists behind his back. You don't get to hide behind misunderstandings anymore. The waitress says softly from across the room. Richard's voice breaks into pleading. Please, Daniels, come on. You can't let this happen to me. You know how this town works. You know me. I can't. That's the problem. Daniels replies, voice heavy but firm. We didn't know how this town worked. And it worked wrong. Today, it works right. The cuffs click. The sound is louder than the slap. The diner breathes together. As Hale reads him his rights, another realization spreads through the officers. Their attention shifts back toward Deshawn, his stance, his composure, his unwavering presence. Sir, Daniel says, respectful. Thank you for keeping control of the situation instead of escalating it. Deshawn nods, humble. Just protecting my mother, sir. Hale tilts his head. You military? Evelyn answers before Deshawn can. Pride glows softly in her voice. Navy SEAL. Both officers straighten instinctively, respect instinctively lifting their posture. Their expressions soften, admiration lacing their professionalism. But they don't turn this into favoritism. They don't blur lines. They don't let prestige overshadow justice. Respect is felt, but fairness remains. Thank you for your service, Daniel says sincerely. But today, you're just a son who stood up, and that matters. Deshawn nods. That's all I wanted to be today. Behind them, Richard is escorted toward the door. He looks smaller than he has ever appeared. Not physically, humanly. As he reaches the entrance, he glances back. Maybe out of habit, maybe out of regret, maybe out of shock that the world no longer bends around his cruelty. For the first time in his life, he isn't protected by fear. He is surrounded by truth. He is held by accountability. He is carried by justice. The officers guide him outside. The door closes. The sirens fade slightly. Inside the diner, there is no applause. There is something more meaningful. Peace. A kind not built from silence, but from dignity restored. People approach Evelyn, not as witnesses of tragedy, but as participants in making things right. I'm so sorry we didn't speak sooner. You didn't deserve that. We should have stood up before. She smiled softly, forgiving, graceful, because Evelyn's strength was never loud. It was steady. It was the kind of strength that raises Navy SEALs and teaches the world what dignity looks like standing tall after being struck. The owner places a gentle hand on her shoulder. "This diner owes you gratitude, ma'am," he says sincerely, "because today you helped free all of us." Deshawn finally exhales, the deep kind someone holds through storms. He turns to his mother, voice soft again, no longer a shield but a son. "You okay now?" She nods. "Now I am." Outside, justice drives away. Inside, respect fills every corner. For the first time in Ridgeway Crossing, the loudest thing in the diner isn't fear. It's relief. And it feels like hope finally found a seat at the table. Sunrise Corner Cafe doesn't feel like the same place anymore. The tension that once clung to the walls like dust slowly loosens. Shoulders relax. Conversations gently return. Coffee cups clink again, not nervously this time, but peacefully, like the room finally remembered how to breathe. The air feels lighter, warmer, alive. Evelyn sits for a moment, steadying herself. The redness on her cheek is still there, but something far brighter replaces the pain now: dignity. The kind of strength that doesn't shout, doesn't boast, just stands. When she rises, people instinctively straighten, not out of fear like they once did for Richard, but out of respect. Real respect. She looks at the faces around her, some guilty, some relieved, some emotional, and she gives them something they didn't expect. A gentle smile, because that's who she is. Then Deshawn turns fully toward her. No crowd, no noise, no danger now. Just his son and his mother. The warrior melts away. The protector softens. The tough Navy SEAL becomes just a boy who came home to hug the woman who raised him. He steps closer. She doesn't wait. She folds into him, arms wrapping around his shoulders, holding on like life itself is being pulled back into her heart. This isn't just a reunion. This is survival. This is pride. This is every prayer she whispered during his deployments, answering her back with warmth. "You came home," she breathes, voice trembling with relief, love, gratitude. "I always will," he whispers back, voice thick with emotion. For a moment, there is no diner, no witnesses, no memory of pain. Just love, standing unshaken in the middle of a place once ruled by fear. And everyone watches, not as outsiders, but as people learning what courage really looks like. They realize something powerful. Fear was never strength. Fear was just noise. Courage was always stronger. The owner quietly wipes a tear and straightens his apron, like the cafe itself is trying to look presentable again. The waitress smiles softly, feeling lighter. People exchange glances that say what words don't need to. We let fear win for too long, but not anymore. A community doesn't heal in loud speeches. It heals in moments like this, in apologies, in realization, in the quiet promise that tomorrow will be better because today someone chose to do the right thing. Richard lost something today, but not just power. He lost the illusion that cruelty makes someone mighty. And something far greater was restored. A mother didn't just regain dignity. She proved it never left her. A son didn't become a hero because he fought. He became a hero because he loved. Because he chose restraint instead of rage. Because he chose protection over pride. Because he showed the world that true strength doesn't break things. It holds them together. As the afternoon sun filters through the cafe windows, Ridgeway Crossing feels different than it did that morning. The silence isn't fearful anymore. It's peaceful. It's hopeful. It carries a quiet promise that maybe, just maybe, this town will stand up faster next time. Speak sooner. Care louder. People begin moving again. Not to escape, but to continue living, this time with courage stitched into the fabric of their hearts. Evelyn squeezes Deshawn's hand. "Let's go home," she says softly. He smiles. "Yeah," he replies. "Let's go home." They walk out together, not defeated, not broken, not scarred, but stronger. Behind them, The cafe lights glow warmer than ever, like the town itself finally found its heartbeat again. And for the first time in a long time, Ridgeway Crossing breathes. Sometimes heroes don't arrive in uniforms and speeches. Sometimes they walk in quietly, simply to protect the person they love most. This wasn't just justice, it was dignity restored, a community awakening, and a powerful reminder that kindness is strength and silence ends when courage stands up.